We are often told to move on, to get over it, to forget what hurt us so that we can be whole again. But what if I told you that wholeness doesn't come from forgetting, it comes from remembering differently? From looking at the very places where you were torn apart and saying, "This is where I rose." Scars are not signs of weakness, they are not shameful, they are the remnants of your survival, and yet too many people walk through life trying to hide them. They cover them with silence, with shame, with perfectionism. But pretending you were never hurt is not strength, it's denial, and denial only deepens the wound. Real strength is when you can point to your scars and say, "I was broken here, but I didn't stay broken." Every scar has a story, and every story, when told with truth and courage, has the potential to heal not only you but others. But it begins with a shift in perspective. You have to stop seeing your past as a source of embarrassment. You have to stop trying to erase the experiences that made you who you are. The scar doesn't go away. What changes is the meaning you give it. But think about it this way: a scar is healed skin. It's a sign that the wound closed, that your body did what it needed to do to recover. And emotionally, psychologically, the same is true. If you're still here, if you're still standing, that means you've already survived more than what most people know. That strength already exists within you. Your job now is to stop hiding it, to stop disowning it. Because when you disown your scars, you disown your strength. There is a deep psychological cost to pretending to be unbroken. When we silence our pain, we also silence our power. We become actors in our own lives, performing for a world that only applauds perfection. But perfection is not inspiring. It's not real. What moves people, what truly transforms hearts, is honesty, vulnerability, courage. That moment when you look someone in the eye and say, "Yes, I've been hurt, but I'm still here. And I'm still becoming." In many ways, this is what Muniba Mazari embodies in her message. She doesn't tell her story to invite pity. She tells it to awaken purpose, to prove that you can lose nearly everything and still find your voice, still find meaning, still create beauty. She turned her scars into a canvas. This isn't an easy question. It requires courage. It means standing still long enough to feel the discomfort you've spent years avoiding. It means asking hard questions about what really happened, how it shaped you, and whether you've truly allowed yourself to grieve it. Not just the loss of people, but the loss of dreams, the betrayal, the disappointment, the way life sometimes shatters our expectations and leaves us with pieces we never wanted to hold. But those pieces, those broken fragments, contain the lesson, they carry the wisdom, and when we examine them without judgment, they begin to make sense. We start to understand not just what hurt us, but how we internalized it. Maybe your pain taught you that you weren't enough, that you couldn't trust others, that love was dangerous. But are those lessons true, or are they simply the scars of a wound you never questioned? Muniba Mazari often speaks about how her accident didn't just change her body, it changed her understanding of purpose. She lost her ability to walk, but gained a voice that has reached millions. She didn't simply move on, she moved deeper. She let her pain teach her. And that's the shift we all need, from asking "why me" to asking "what now?" There is always a choice. Pain can make you bitter, or it can make you wise. It can close your heart or open it. But wisdom only comes when we stop romanticizing avoidance and start practicing reflection. When we stop pretending that moving fast means we're moving forward, because real growth often feels like slowing down. Sitting with discomfort, asking what part of me still needs healing. And here's something powerful to understand: your pain might not be your fault, but your healing is your responsibility. No one else can make meaning out of your story but you. And if you don't, that story will continue to shape your life from the shadows. But when you choose to look it in the eye, to feel it fully, to pull the lesson out of the wreckage, that's when transformation begins. Sometimes the lesson is to set boundaries, sometimes it's to let go, sometimes it's to forgive, not because the other person deserves it, but because you do. Sometimes the lesson is that you've been playing small because you're afraid of being hurt again. But hiding from the pain doesn't protect you, it traps you. There is a strength that comes only from self awareness, from knowing your own story so well that it no longer controls you. And that kind of strength, it's not loud, it doesn't scream for attention, it's quiet, it's calm. It walks into the future without dragging the past behind it. So I want to ask you, what is your pain teaching you? And are you listening? Because pain, when ignored, becomes a cycle, but pain, when honored, becomes wisdom. And wisdom, that's how you begin to write your comeback. The lesson is already inside the wound. Stop running from it, sit with it, listen, and let it show you who you're meant to become. We live in a world that tells us the moment we break, we lose value, that we must be whole physically, emotionally, socially to be worthy of love, respect, or purpose. But this belief is not only false, it's deeply damaging. Because the truth is, being broken is not the end. Sometimes it's the beginning of something deeper, something far more meaningful than the polished version of life we once clung to. You are not broken, you are being rebuilt. And that's not a comforting slogan, it's a profound truth about what it means to be human. When life shatters us through loss, trauma, failure, betrayal, it doesn't just take something away, it also clears the space for something new. It tears down illusions we didn't even know we were living with. Maybe the illusion that we were in control. Maybe the illusion that love would never hurt us. Maybe the illusion that strength meant never falling apart. And when those illusions are gone, when you're left with nothing but raw emotion and empty hands, that's when the rebuilding begins. But rebuilding doesn't look like success right away. It's not glamorous, it's not instant, it's painful, it's slow, and often it's silent. It happens in the small moments when you choose to get out of bed even though your heart feels heavy, when you say no to the thoughts that tell you you're worthless, when you take responsibility for your healing, not because anyone asked you to, but because you know you deserve a life beyond the pain. That's the power of being rebuilt. It's intentional. You get to decide what stays and what goes, what beliefs still serve you and which ones need to be released. You're not just picking up the pieces, you're creating a new version of yourself, one with more clarity, more compassion, more strength. And that version isn't weaker because of what happened. It's stronger died precisely because of it. There's a concept in Japanese philosophy called ushkintsugi dolet. It's the art of repairing broken pottery with gold. Instead of hiding the cracks, they highlight them, filling them with precious metal to show that the object is more beautiful because of its breakage, not in spite of it. The philosophy behind kintsugi says, your damage is not your disgrace, it is your distinction. Now imagine if we applied that to our own lives. Imagine if we treated our emotional scars like golden seams, not signs of failure, but proof of endurance. If we embrace the idea that the most powerful version of us doesn't emerge when we're untouched, but when we're transformed. This is not about romanticizing pain, it's about giving it purpose. Because you cannot go through deep suffering and come out unchanged. And that change, it doesn't mean you've lost who you are. It means you've outgrown who you were. Muniba Mazari often says that you are not disabled by the body, you are disabled by the mind. That perspective is everything. She didn't choose her accident, but she chose her response. She chose to rise. And in rising, she became more than she ever imagined she could be. Not because she rebuilt herself into her old self, but because she became something entirely new. And the same is true for you. There may be moments when you feel like your life is in ruins, that the structure you spent years building has collapsed. But I want you to know you are not those ruins. You are the architect of what comes next. You are not the version of you that was hurt. You are the version that gets to decide how the story ends. So don't rush the rebuild. Don't try to paste a fake smile over real pain just to look strong. Real strength isn't performance, it's process. Let the rebuild be honest. Let it be messy. But let it be yours. This is your chance to lay a new foundation, not on perfection, but on truth, on grace, on depth, the kind of strength that isn't shaken by storms because it was forged in one. You are not a ruin to be pitied. You are a structure being redesigned. Let every piece you rebuild carry the wisdom of the storm and rise not as who you were, but as who you were always meant to become. If there's one truth we all eventually encounter, it's this: life doesn't pause for our healing. It keeps moving, the world keeps spinning, the sun keeps rising. And somewhere in that unrelenting motion, we have to make a decision. Do we stay stuck in the moment that hurt us, or do we start writing the next chapter? Every person who has ever created a meaningful life, who has ever inspired others, built something of value, or stood tall in the face of adversity, has one thing in common. They made a choice to move forward, even when the past still echoed in their bones. Not because the pain was gone, not because they had it all figured out, but because they refused to let their story end where it broke. And that's what I want to speak to you about now: the courage to begin again, the decision to not wait until life is perfect to live it, the bold, terrifying, beautiful act of choosing to rise, knowing full well that your heart still carries bruises. There's a misconception in our culture that healing has a finish line, that one day you'll wake up and feel nothing, no fear, no doubt, no grief, and then you'll finally be ready to move forward. But healing isn't linear, and it certainly isn't neat. It's a spiral, not a straight line. Some days you feel strong, other days you feel like you're back at the beginning. That doesn't mean you failed, that means you're human. What matters is that you don't let those moments stop you from stepping into your future. You cannot wait for the pain to vanish before you begin again, because pain often is the path. It's not the thing that blocks you from your purpose, it's the thing that sharpens it. And it strips away everything that's not essential. It reveals who you really are underneath the noise. And here's the paradox: the more deeply you've been broken, the more potential you carry for impact. Because now you understand people in a way others can't. You've seen darkness, you've known silence, you felt invisible. And that awareness becomes a kind of superpower if you use it. But to use it, you must stop waiting to feel ready. The truth is, readiness is a myth. No one feels ready to begin again. No one feels fully prepared to rise after devastation. That's why rising is courageous the last it. You take the first step without having all the answers. You rebuild not because you're sure of the outcome, but because you believe your life is worth more than what happened to you. Muniba Mazari speaks with the kind of strength that doesn't come from comfort. It comes from choosing again and again to live with purpose even while carrying pain. She says, "You are the hero of your own story, and heroes are not those who live easy lives. They're the ones who show up when it's hard." That's what writing your comeback story really means. Not having a dramatic cinematic moment of triumph, but doing the quieted, consistent work of showing up for your own life. So let this be the day you stop asking if you're ready. Let this be the moment you stop waiting for someone to come rescue you. Let this be the chapter where you take the pen and start writing again. Messy, uncertain, afraid, but top moving. You don't have to know exactly where you're going. You don't have to pretend you're unshaken. You just have to refuse to let what broke you define you. Let it refine you instead. Let it teach you compassion, grit, humility, and strength. And then let that strength carry you forward, not as a victim, not even as a survivor, but as a builder, a creator, a leader of your own becoming. Because no matter what you've lost, you still have something powerful left. Your voice dies, your choice dies, your prince will that lestret. And with those three things, you can begin again, right here, right now. You've already survived the fall. Now it's time to rise, and that latest the rest of the story. Let your next chapter be proof that even in your darkest hour, you refuse to stay there. You chose to move, you chose to rebuild, you chose to begin again. And